Polluted Thoughts Podcast, real talk with real people. I'm your host, Colin Garrity.
3, 2, 1.
And we are live. Back in the spot and polluting the airways with the one and only Merrick Henry.
Outstanding.
It's honestly, when you came in, I guess I didn't really show you the excitement that I had. We actually have been very excited to have you on for a while. Picking up where you wanted to put a pin in it before we started the podcast. You said you do things like 100%. Everything is like 100% geared towards your art. That's what we said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just add on as well. Thank you guys so much for having me on today. I'm thrilled to be here. So I consider myself to be in a fortunate enough position where at the start of COVID, I was working at Chuck E. Cheese for about 6 years.
Wow.
I was
tenured employee.
It felt like it. Yeah, I was good at my job hosting parties for kids, and that actually brought me a lot of joy, honestly, just making these kids happy, performing with Charles Entertainment Cheese himself. When I wasn't hosting, best believe I was head rat. That was not even a question. So I got to do that for about 6 years, and then at the start of COVID, our Chuck E. Cheese was in the process of kind of shutting down because we just weren't sure how it was going to...
What location?
Leominster.
Oh, okay, right in Winniefield.
Yeah, and...
it was heartbreaking when that happened. It goes my childhood with that, you know?
Of course, mine too. And my heart went out for the kids in the area who would no longer have that kind of place to have those experiences, you know? But I also saw it as an opportunity to, with the rest of the world resetting, I thought it was an opportunity to just invest in the work that I had somewhat been putting off for a while, doing what I can to still maintain my artistic integrity with the work that I do. But it just was time to really just invest and see where this could take me, what I feel that I am meant to do on planet Earth. So since then, in what is now coming up to 3 years since the pandemic, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So much has changed for so many people.
Yeah.
But I've invested everything that I'm able to, whether it's financial, whether it's mental and physical. I've invested everything I could into my work because I'm just so passionate about what I do, whether that's getting lights, creating different backdrops for myself, whether it's in our physical black box studio over at Young Coffee Productions.
You got to bring us over there, by the way.
No question. Whether it's on the green screen stage that we have at our studio, I am only one person. I'm fortunate enough to be working with such great studio partners to make what we do. I never want such a high standard for myself to hold me back from putting out content. That was something that I kind of needed to overcome at the start of the pandemic.
It'll never be perfect, you know?
Exactly. We don't all have endless amounts of money. We don't have that J-Lo money or that Rihanna money. Certainly that Taylor Swift money. We don't have that. So you make do with what you have. And I'm really happy with the catalog of work that I've created so far. And since it's still only January, there's still so much opportunity to add to that portfolio. As
just this year.
Yeah.
Just this year. You got forever. But what we were talking about literally right before you walked in was the reason we wanted to have you on, because we feel like you do everything 110%. Like whenever you put yourself forward to do something, you're always doing it with all your effort, trying to put it the best forward. And like you said, the content, whether you don't think it's the greatest or not, you've been putting out consistent content for a very, very long time now. So we've always just thought that in the area, you were more of the most consistently working person that we've seen.
Well, thank you, man.
Of course. And to transition that was you recently got back from the arts. It's called the arts contest, right? Is that something that you submit yourself for and they pick you to go, or is it something that you voluntarily can like just choose on your own to improve your skill go?
So both things can be true. So how that journey started, it was last year, 1 year ago, I saw these random audition ads on Facebook. And I had kind of done a couple of things similar to this.
Too.
I've done similar things in the past where, for a lot of reasons, it's sketchy as hell, for sure. And I thought, you know what, I'm in a position now, having gained, because this is like year 2 into the pandemic, gained enough experience with myself where I'm feeling more confident in my skill set. So I thought, you know what do I have to lose? This is out just in Marlboro. It's like 40 minutes out.
Yeah. seems like a win-win, even if it was a scam. You know what I mean? Like you can't really lose much.
Exactly.
At least you did it, right?
Yeah.
Did it right? Exactly. Even just making it to the audition room is
100%.
more than what a lot of other people are able to do, whether they have work or families or
right.
whatever. We all have legitimate reasons for not going into these kinds of things. Certainly, a lot of legitimate
Right,
life
but a
things.
lot of those things to the self, like if you don't go after them, it's the type of thing you're going to look back in 5 years and be like, damn,
All it took
should
was you
at
getting up
least
off the couch
tried,
and driving.
you know?
Exactly.
Dip my
Pretty much,
toe
yeah.
in the pool of possibility.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so the woman, Brooke, who was working the table, who was seeing all of us in, people from all over Massachusetts, maybe a couple people from Connecticut too, people coming in with their guitars and, you know, their talent and their hearts. And she saw something in me as a triple threat. Because I had prepared a vocal piece, I prepared a dance piece, one of my original pieces of choreography to one of my songs, and she just gave me a small little commercial excerpt thing. I think I was reading like a Corn Pops ad. That's what sticks out of my mind. I think that's what it was. And she took it, taken to me, and I could tell that she was being authentic in the moment. It wasn't fake, wasn't anything two-faced like. It was she clearly believed in me enough to say, hey, I really think you could do this. I really think you could go in front of these people in Los Angeles and just put your best foot forward and just represent yourself and make these connections.
How did it make you feel to be recognized like that?
It was lovely. It was lovely. It's nice to have total strangers who've never seen before, have no clue who you are, have no reason to believe in you, all of a sudden do. That feels really nice. And originally she was there because they started that process in January. They're looking to push people to go to the Orlando showcase in July. Okay. And my gut told me that I wasn't quite ready to do the Orlando thing. What I'm personally looking for right now in this moment was not down south.
Right.
It was out west. So when I heard that they were doing the LA showcase for December of the same year, I thought, all right, I have a year to prepare and at least go to a spot that, one, I want to be in, and two, I've never been in. And so this was the opportunity for me to finally make my way out west after all this time of wanting to be out there. So it was basically mostly a year's worth process mentally of going through just knowing. We'll backtrack a little bit. A few years ago, I had done an internship with the Broadway Theater Project, which is like a 3-week musical theater intensive down in Tampa. So I already had an idea going into this showcase.
Like the southern kind of...
Yeah, I had an idea of the work ethic that you need.
Yeah.
How to, as soon as you walk out of the hotel room door each and every day, you are on. There's a possibility that you are either meeting up with someone worthwhile, or you never want to seem like you're off when you're out in public. Any time that you walk out of that room, it's an opportunity to be on. It's almost as if it's a constant audition.
I'm assuming at West it's times 10.
Yeah,
walking out the door,
to a degree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And just it's a mental chore that you're putting yourself through each and every day. Cause,
keep that face on, kind of, where it's like you never know who you could see.
Yeah, and if you've never experienced that before, that's hard to do. So that's kind of what I put myself through mentally for that whole past year before I even started perfecting my performance materials for the stage. It was just understanding this is going to be hard. Now, in some ways, it's actually easier than the 3-week musical theater intensive, because out there, or down there, rather, we did the full script of Chicago front to back.
Wow.
No edits or anything.
Right,
so
a lot of memorizing.
It was a lot of memorizing.
Jesus Christ.
And I got cast as the lead male Billy in that show.
Wow.
Whoa.
Which I actually didn't really want, only because I wanted to kind of be down there and just learn from everyone.
Right.
So in this case, I knew that this was going to be simpler than that, but I was over prepared. I was kind of over leveled.
Hey, that's a good thing too, though. I'm sure, like, being thrown into that position actually gave you a lot more experience than if you had gone for one of the lower roles. Not to say that would be any worse.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone's experience is going to be different in these kinds of things, but I felt over prepared, which meant that I felt I was ready for this kind of a thing. Nice. And so once we get to like the June, July area, that's when I really started perfecting my dance piece, considering that the person that saw me at the table back at the audition, she was a dancer too. She had become my coach to get me ready for this process for LA. I wanted to make sure that if nothing else, my dance piece was the best it could be. And luckily we found the right kind of piece for me, where that was the case. She was really proud of what I had done. I had danced to a mashup of a Katy Perry song and a BTS song. because you never know what kind of things that you're dealing with as far as like what people have prepared after all this time. So I wanted something that was unique. Funny enough, when I actually wound up getting to the showcase and I did my dance piece, there was actually someone else who also did nearly the same BTS song that I did. Now, luckily, it was different because I did a mashup and he did the original song.
Yes.
But he killed it, and he was great with that material too. And we've actually become really good friends since. He's very similar to me artistically in terms of like his pop music aesthetic, how he vocally performs, what he does for acting. We're so similar in a lot of ways. He's out of Chicago. His name is Anthony, and he's amazing. I'm so glad that I got to meet him.
I said the connections you probably made just within the people performing was probably immense.
Yeah, it felt like we were all kind of in the trenches together. Like, we are all out here doing this ridiculous thing for an entire week. We're all insane.
You're putting yourself really out there, like 100%. You're really all throwing all your artistic, creativity and almost soul, so to speak, like out of the body in front of people. You're being very vulnerable.
Certainly the case. And, funny, that brings me up to a point. So as far as how the showcase worked, there were multiple rounds to the showcase performances. You start in round 1 with your monologue, your singing piece, and your dancing piece. You start in a small room in front of just a couple of people, just to see if you got the chops to.
What would the monologue consist of? Is it literally like a speaking thing, like a?
Yeah. So this was something that I had prepared. I had gone through multiple options for what I could deliver. I'd started out with one piece, and my coach and I came to the conclusion that this wasn't me. I was kind of trying to pull a character out of myself that just wasn't really there. And I wanted to play up something that was lively and youthful, because without the facial hair, I look 16, plain and simple. And
oh man, I'm in that boat.
Come on now. So we've luckily found this piece. Actually, my old teacher from Fitchburg High, Mr. Zecker, came through with a great monologue for me. It was, I'm a salesman. I'm selling a healthier option to zombies rather than normal brains. Because, you're exhausted as soon as you get out of the grave every night. You need something to really wake you up beyond brains, which is a much better, healthier option.
Red Bull?
It's close. Close. There's tofu inside. There's tofu inside of it for good preservatives and stuff. So yeah, delivered. We found that piece. It was really good for me. Delivered that. And all the pieces that I had done, all 3 of my pieces, made it onto round 2. So I got to at least be on the big stage.
Nice.
Oh, so it's per thing. So like people can make it per just the monologue.
Yes.
People can make it. That's cool.
Yes.
That's
so
cool.
I was very fortunate to make it for all 3. So I at least got to be on the big stage.
Hence the triple threat.
Yeah. And so at least 2/3 of the casting directors that wound up being there were there so I got to see most of the people that I wanted to see, which was great. And it turns out I didn't actually wind up making it to the 3rd round for any of my pieces. And
what's the number of people that advance per round? Like a start to first to second to third?
It's all based on scoring.
Okay.
There's no set number.
No
they don't need to fill a quota.
Okay,
it's just they score.
You got to surpass this number for the judges to pass on to the next round.
Pretty much, yeah. That's my understanding. And I was actually really grateful that I didn't have to go on to round 3, because after all this time, after almost a year of working on this material, I could finally step back.
Put it aside and kind of push forward.
Put it aside and just be with all the other people who are here investing their time into
just
this.
Enjoy the moment.
Exactly. Once again going back to the trenches without any stress of needing to perform or impress.
Right. That's nice that you have that perspective. A lot of times, like, speaking from experience, if you really, really care about something, it doesn't go the way you want in the moment sometimes. It's easy to be really pissed off and just kind of like cynical about the moment, you know. But to be able to sit there and fully take it all in speaks to your character.
Well, thank you.
I like that a lot about you. I also think that the camaraderie that comes with it, just being with the people who create and other artists, is whether you're actually making stuff or not, it puts you into that kind of headspace where you can kind of be like, this is what I want to do, and this is where I want to take it, kind of idea from here on out.
Exactly. It's not supposed to be a competition. We're all filling specific roles of body types and age requirements. Like, it's just, do you fit the role of what this specific casting agency is looking for in this moment? Half the time when it comes down to auditions, say if you're one of 2 people in the room, for like, if you're on like a cruise ship show and you're auditioning to fill in this role where they just had a dancer leave and you need to fill this role. It comes down to 2 people. Half the time it comes down to, do you fit the costume?
Right.
You can have all the vocal talent in the world, but if you don't fit, that means, if they wanted you, they'd have to make up a whole new costume, and that costs money, considering how flashy the costume is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you took everything personal, you'd be exhausted all the time.
Well, another thing I get from this competition is that you don't even need to win this competition or even really like pass far into this competition for the eyes that you need to get seen. You know what I mean? Like are the casting directors there? Like while you're so if they just see you and they like what they see, then that's just pretty
You're
much
just letting
it.
them
Like,
know
you don't
you
need to-
exist.
Right.
There it is.
That's the whole point of it. That's why you can't get so or at least for me, I didn't see the need to get so upset about not making it on to the next round. There's always more opportunities. There's always different opportunities that are out there, and it's really more important to be making the connections with the people who are out there with you. If I didn't fit the requirements for what these people within the industry are looking for right now, that's okay. There could be another opportunity.
You're in the back of their
100%
mind. If they ever saw anything like that kid from that one thing, that's him right there. That's
right.
They got my headshot.
And to that exact same point, if they saw you...
They got my mug. They know. They know. Yeah.
But if they saw you hang your head immediately after that, you know, maybe if that opportunity did arise in the future, they'd be like, oh, no, that kid's got a bad attitude. You know what I mean?
I think that...
You never know. That's why it's important to keep that face on every time you walk out of the room.
Right.
On to Frank's thing, if they saw you hang your head like that, they see the opposite. You have a very your attitude is like attracting people. You know what I mean? The way that you're so joyous and very enthusiastic. It's a very organic enthusiasm.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
You know? Dead ass. That is very true. Because I think that like if your general enthusiasm post not making it, they still see how excited you are to be there, how excited you are to be a part of what this is. They're like, all right, whatever, we have this little role for him. This is perfect. He'll be perfect for being a part of this group and whatever. Just throw you right there. Or they're like, we have this big role. You know what? You never know what it is. It's perfect.
You never know. And truth be told, at the end of the overall process, I felt quite comfortable. With, I know I'm kind of a unique enough personality where I don't know if I can really play second fiddle to someone else. And I don't mean to let my ego show.
No.
That's being conscious and aware of what you are as an artist.
I'm a geeky pop star. You know, I'm this kid who doesn't look like he has any dance experience. And by no means am I saying I'm a remarkable dancer, but I know that I have experience and I can deliver if I'm given
I can outdance some Joe Schmo on the street, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
Possibly, certainly possible. There's always someone better than you, certainly, but
it's like the fighting mentality, but for dancing.
Yeah,
yeah,
to a degree. And so I know that I'm a unique enough person where I would have to fit a specific role. There's a reason why so many stand-up comedians have gotten their own shows rather than playing a supporting role to someone else. George Lopez, Tim Allen, Jerry Seinfeld. I'll even throw Margaret Cho in there for her short-lived sitcom, where they're so unique and have such a unique viewpoint on their lives that it just makes for them to be the star and then have everything built around them. Right. I would consider myself the same thing if I wanted a show, which is why I'm very okay with still pursuing my musical aspirations with my video content, my music content.
Well, building that position, just like social media and stuff like that, being able to build that personality is actually in a lot of ways probably helping you to eventually, like, it's almost like building a portfolio. Not quite, but like a lot of times people care about not only what you can do, but the eyes that are looking at you and what you're doing, because it's like marketing, but just by association. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Have you had this on the screen the whole time?
Oh, I did. It was in the background.
Oh, leave this on. Is this what you did for the competition?
So this clip that we're watching, this was a in-between dance workshop. This was after like the first day of auditions.
Okay.
Where we're all like already super brain dead at this point. And I got to work with Chris Shields, who is a staff member for the Arts Showcase. And this was just a fun like break in between everything. And what's funny about this specific moment too, so we had all learned the combination by this point, and I was giving it my all, not for impressing anybody, just having fun, because I knew what this environment was. It was meant to be a break from things. It's not trying to impress anybody or try to land an opportunity for things. Right. It's just, we're here to have fun. Put your best foot forward, but have fun. And so we started going off in groups, and you had 3 talented women go up on stage, or on the hotel floor, as we're seeing in this clip. So you had 3 women go up, and then you had 5 afterwards. And Chris immediately after the round of 5 went up, he asked, did anybody else want to go up? And then he gives this whole very quick speech about how it shouldn't be that you shouldn't wait for someone to tell you to go up there. If someone says, I need so many people to go up there, you immediately go up there. Right. I didn't have the energy to do that necessarily in that moment because I was pretty beat, and I was willing to share in the wealth of what we're gaining for knowledge here. I'm not looking necessarily to be a star in this moment. I want everyone to have their opportunity to shine what they're comfortable with at that present moment, if you know, wherever they're at mentally. So he goes through this whole speech, and then he says, now I need one person. So I figured, all right, he just gave this whole speech. So in that very split moment in time, I moaned and groaned my way to standing up, and that was how I got to solo with Chris in this video, because he just said, all right, I need one person. Alrighty, fine.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened. And it was a great time to be had. Anytime you're dancing to Beyonce, it's just,
I
it's
know
hella fun.
I could be beating a dead horse here, but when I say that 110%, like, you're really giving it here. You know what I mean? And it's no joke. Like, I honestly mean that, like, not in a humorous way at all. Because I find me and Franco and my friends, we dabble with making music and such.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I'm giving it 110%, it always comes out better. And then every time, it always comes out, like, most of the time I make music, I'm like, I don't really like it. You know what I mean? I'm very, like you were saying about your content, rather than just throwing it always up, I'm always very perfectionist about the way that I sound. So, like, I'm always trying to make it sound the best that I can. When I give it 110%, the next time it's better. And then the next time it's better. And then the next time it's better, and you find your little groove and you find your little thing. It seems like when you give it 110% here, the next day it's only going to get better. And then the next day it's only going to get better. And the next day it's only going to get better. Like, what the fuck else are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, how else are you going to get better? You got to give it 110% every single time.
And also, that can vary too. It can always be 110% on that specific day, where maybe on another day that would be comparable to like a 90.
Right.
You know, so like, it's just the best that you're able to do.
That's what I mean by the 110%.
Yeah.
Is you're giving it your all 100% of the time. That's something that I feel like most people don't do and need to do, and myself included, probably, you know, everyone hearing this, and you thinking, like, you know, sometimes I don't give everything 110%, but it seems like you, like, actually do, bro. Like, I'm not,
Well, thank you,
when
man.
you're doing it, and I'm really not trying to just, you know, beat a dead horse or, like,
No,
keep
no,
praising
I
you, but, like,
appreciate
it's
that.
something that every time I have somebody on, there's like one or two things I try to pull to incorporate into my life, because, you know, not everything works for everybody. You know, like, your routine or whatever isn't going to work for me, and Frank's routine isn't going to work for you, and whatever. But I like to pull things from each people, and it seems like it's the one thing that I keep pulling from you when you keep talking. It's like, you give it your all, and you give it your all, and when it needs to, when the pressure needs to get applied.
I also want to put like the spotlight on emotional intelligence as well, because you were talking about in the moment, you're like, shit, I feel terrible, like, or not, you know what I mean, I'm tired, like, I've been going through the shit.
I'm watching myself right now and I'm exhausted all over again.
But, like, you're allowing these people to have their chance, and it's not like a personal thing, meaning like, oh, fuck them or something. It's like understanding, hey, if I went out there and I did this, I wouldn't be able to crush it to the full extent that I want to. You know, and I think that's emotional intelligence to a certain extent.
You took my words and put them into much better form. Thank you very much.
How dare you?
How dare you articulate those sentences? One thing me and Frank were very interested in before you came was, how did you get into all this stuff? Like, how did you get into choreographing your own stuff and, like, just poppy dance in general?
You're always watching. You're always watching for other people. My performance journey really began, kind of two halves to that. Really, the vocal side of it started in elementary school when I got my first solo in the school choir, where I didn't think I stood a chance in hell of getting it, and my old teacher, Miss Allard, believed in me and gave me that opportunity. My first time to really solo out.
Fitchburg?
Yep, Crocker Elementary. Yep.
All right, right down the street here.
You betcha. And then maybe a year later, I had started working my first theatrical production at school. And that wasn't a starring role necessarily, but it was a strong character supporting role that I had done. And that was kind of the first opportunity that I had to really watch older kids perform, take in scripts, take in information, listen to directors, and take that direction. And then everything kind of branches off from there. So really, a lot of my love for performance comes from theater to start. And by the time I got to high school, I had joined the step team and the dance team, and I learned how cool it was to have people call out your name and be excited to see you, not necessarily just be excited for a character that you just played.
Right.
So hearing myself be recognized rather than me through a character be recognized, that was a major turn on for me in that moment. So ever since then, with the dancing, the following year I had worked with Will D'Arcangelo, who was formerly a substitute teacher for Fitchburg High. Now he's the minister at the First Parish Church, where we have our company, Young Coffee Productions.
Okay.
And we had started up a band, and he was working on an album, and I'd never been a part of an album project before, been in a recording studio, but I just knew I want to work with that guy. And him bringing me to the studio for the first time and me layering on my vocals just as a backing vocalist, that was the moment where I knew this is what I need to be doing. I need to be a musical artist. I can take my theatrical training for putting on the best performances I can, whether it's costumes or dancing or whatever, because I'd watched enough people from who I'd worked with, and I'd also taken in a lot of choreo at that point too from shows that I'd done, and I knew that I needed to form this into something that represents me. Yeah. And truth be told, the biggest nail in the coffin for starting to really get the gears turning on music is what I want to do. It was June 25th, 2009, the day that Michael Jackson died.
I would say that's the day Michael Jackson died.
Those numbers will be forever grained into my psyche.
I'll never forget that day either.
It's almost like a Whitney or a Kobe. You lose that person.
That was yesterday.
Bro,
for Kobe.
I hate to interrupt. When you said that, my first thought was like, that was the date of like some crazy like Columbine shooting. You know what I mean? Like some crazy shit. No, and then you guys are like Michael Jackson.
No, I remember. I remember it was like you. I'm sure it was the day that like it's engraved into my memory. I was playing outside with my friend. It was actually the day before. It was the first day I ever watched porn. I was in 3rd grade. My friend showed me porn.
Sailor.
Yeah, he showed me porn, and I was like mind blown. So it was a pretty big day. The next day, you know, I had come to knowledge, and then. I remember we were outside, we used to play around with swords and Nerf guns and stuff, and then his mom came out and was like, you guys have to come inside right now. It was like the nicest lady I ever met. I've never seen her without a smile my whole life. She brought us in, was like, you need to come here right now, and gathered us around the computer, and she was crying her eyes out. Michael Jackson just died.
He's the voice of a generation.
She's man. And she just couldn't handle it, and at the time I couldn't really, obviously, I mean, maybe not, you clearly...
There's very few people where it feels like the world shuts down in that moment. And truth be told, I wasn't actually really a Michael Jackson fan before then.
It was just the fact that the world has shut down for one person
I knew Thriller, and I'd listened to Thriller front to back.
That's what I mean, was more I knew of him, but I didn't have the knowledge to really grasp the idea of his passing, you know?
Exactly. And when he died, VH1 Classic did an entire weekend of just his music videos. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I overdosed on Michael content, and that was really what started.
Okay, I can really see the Michael inspiration.
And that was before I joined. That was right before high school. Before I went to high school, so that was before I even done the dance team, the step team, all the vocal stuff. That was really the ground zero for me of wanting to go into music. Before it was nice hearing my name called and all of that. Right. That seeing what Michael did through his video work with the cost. It was the first time I'd seen an artist take in all the things of my training, dancing and flashy costumes, high energy performance, theatricality, creating your own style. That was the ground zero for everything since then. So I kind of always make it a point to just take a sec on June 25th every year just to remember, hey, this was the day that literally changed the trajectory of your life.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, that's good, man. To be able to keep in perspective those crucial moments through your upcoming, it's nice to be able to go back to it, because then it reaffirms why you're doing what you're doing on a daily basis. You know?
I think about that a lot, about this whole thing that we do. Without my dad playing Pandora, it's comedy all the time. Never would have gotten into comedy. Never would have found Joe Rogan. Never would have had this podcast. You would have probably never found your complete theatrical side, being soloist or whatever, with your whole idea without MJ.
Now, funny enough, it took me a while to get out of the MJ mold, because once you do one MJ performance, that's all you're known for a long time. So that was my high school career.
That's funny you say that. We used to make my cousin do that. We were always at any family event, my dad would be like, do Thriller, do the Thriller.
And
make him do
the crotch grab. Go Billie Jean, let's go.
Yeah.
That's
at every family event,
doesn't leave you.
It's brutal,
I've been able to get to a point now where it's a part of my DNA, but it's not the only side of my DNA.
But with you, it was it could have been, something that was real. And so with my cousin, it was jokes, he didn't know the whole Thriller dance. He would start freestyling halfway through, and we'd just be do it. Put on Thriller. Just make him dance.
Funny enough, I'm really bad for this. So if I'm at a wedding and I know that people aren't doing the Thriller dance well enough,
Well enough.
I will step up to show him how it's done. That is my toxic trait. If we're here for an honest show, that is my toxic trait.
No, I like that.
And,
I like that.
Other people got some other pretty bad toxic traits. If that's the worst thing you got going on, you're doing pretty damn well.
That's fair. I feel guilty about it every time after. So like,
Steal their spotlight. Like, this is your wedding, but you suck at doing the thriller. So
man, I will never do it to a bride and groom because I know my place. But if someone else, if one of the other bridesmaids or whatever is going off and not doing it right, I'm like,
Should have brought him to your sister's wedding.
Dude, there's a bunch of terrible dancers. way too drunk. Just having a great time.
That's my edge. I don't drink, so I'm able to stay cognizant.
Staying sharp. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I don't either, man.
Sounds like a competitive edge now.
As I spill water on myself. No, it is a little bit of an edge. People accuse me of cheating when we play beer pong. We'll go pong because I don't drink.
That does sound like cheating.
Yeah, but it's not though. There's no beer in the cup, and we're playing water pong, and the people are drinking. There's not cheating. I came fully prepared to win that pong game. I'm not losing.
I respect that.
We're going to give you something special this Valentine's Day.
Ugh,
When someone's in a
gross.
So, but coming back from break, we were talking about just like your inspiration of things. Where did the pop side of things come into play? Like, I noticed you're very like JT, Justin Timberlake-y, very
sure.
like Backstreet Boys, kind of like boy bandy pop stuff. One, it's very organic because it's very real. I can tell from your part of the view, but it's also very unique where there's not many people doing that stuff anymore. You're like kind of bringing back this like pop side.
Yeah.
Where did all that come from?
So, you're absolutely right. Not many artists are integrating dance into what they do anymore.
Sorry, I don't
Even the
mean to
ones
interrupt
that
either. Were there a lot of pop people at this art thing too? Was it like an eye opener, being like, "Oh my God, here's like my group of people"?
Not as many
Yeah,
aside
sorry, I
from
didn't mean to interrupt.
no.
I've
That's
been
valid.
curious
No,
about that
it
the whole
makes
time.
it makes it all come together. Aside from Anthony, who had done the similar BTS song, we were really the only two with that specific music mission.
So you are one in a million.
It's amazing to me how pop used to be such a major part of the American landscape, and now it's really not. But funny enough, K-pop is all of that.
Huge,
right?
It is, yeah.
Times 10 with how many people are in the group? 7 people, 10 people, 12 people.
And their population of people like just listening as well is a very large population
Listening
in
and
Asia,
and then traveling all the way
Right,
across the
yeah.
globe to
Yeah.
go see these groups.
Yeah.
You know,
from
these
here
award
to
shows.
there, yeah,
From
you're
there
fucking,
and back,
dude,
it's
you're
insane.
100% right, yeah.
It's I wouldn't want to say it's like a dying art form, but it's not. A lot of music today is now about vibes, just literally having a playlist and just being able to relax,
Right.
or you're at a party and it's the vibe of the room. People aren't necessarily looking for performance-based artists. So a lot of that pop stuff comes from, one, my love for theater, for being under the spotlight and giving the best show that I can with all 110% energy that I have for that day, whatever that is. And a lot of it just comes from how you can really craft a visual performance that can stick out into someone's head forever. And a lot of that comes back to like what Michael was able to do for a lot of his video work. Certainly with what Justin Timberlake has also done too. But even on his end, his is a bit unique for me because I became a Justin Timberlake fan through Saturday Night Live first.
Right.
Okay.
And seeing what he did comedically, and I think he's friggin'
No,
hilarious.
He's a
knocked it
triple
out of the
threat,
park with that. Yeah.
so to speak.
His hosting episodes are probably the best, or they're my favorites.
Yeah.
They're definitely some of
certainly.
the most watched too.
Yeah,
you
that was
know?
that. I've seen them, and I don't watch really much.
My dick in a box.
Yeah.
Those
That's
collaborations
exactly
are
what
timeless.
you took the words out of my mouth.
They're amazing. So I got to see that side of him first, and then I discovered his music. So I was able to really see, while Michael was a true musical entertainer, I really got to embrace this triple threat kind of in real time almost,
Right,
and not seeing the
multimedia
musical side of
aspect.
things.
Just the pure entertainment.
Just pure entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Before going to the music side, and then I discovered that afterwards. So that really is more the mold of what inspires me, because I'm a big believer that
Right.
it's easier to transition from music to everything else rather than vice versa. Like, did you know that Ryan Gosling like has his own separate band aside from just
I
being
had
his
no
actor?
idea.
Yeah. I don't recall the name, truth be told, but you wouldn't necessarily know that because he's a remarkable
Right.
There's a
actor.
decent amount of people who do
Right,
that.
so he kind of like overshadows that. I feel that he could be an incredible. His band could be awesome, you know, but he's just so damn good at acting.
He
that
is,
it
but
overshadows
funny
it,
enough, he was also with JT, a Mickey Mouse Club kid, also doing the singing and dancing thing. They're literally cut from the same cloth.
I've seen those clips of Ryan Gosling. I haven't seen him with JT, but I've seen Ryan Gosling as a kid.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I
They
didn't know
basically
that.
went to the same school, more or less, you know. So I didn't even put that comparison together until this moment, but that's absolutely there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's as far as the pop angle with where I'm at right now, it's really about kind of doing things that other people aren't doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're not bringing dancers out on stage. You know, they're not changing costumes during a set. Last year, I had the pleasure of performing at the Northeast Comic-Con in Boxborough.
We want to talk to you about Comic-Con as well at some point. Yeah.
So much to talk about. With just all of that in general. But I got to perform. I did my Disney show that I had done just a couple months prior. I did that on stream, and I got to take that on the road.
You did some of that at Zenfest as well, right? Or a
Yeah.
couple of Disney. I saw some of your, like 2 or 3 of your, I think it was 2 Disney songs.
Yeah,
that I saw you perform at Zenfest.
similar tech setup where I had TV screens behind me. In this case, we turned them on their sides, and that was how I was able to create my backing dancers.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a one-man band sort of a thing. So I know no one else is really doing that, so I feel comfortable enough to be
your reflection was
different.
on the TV was the...
On the TV, it was separate video recordings of me dancing, so
that's super cool.
I had my own backing dancers.
Hold on. Is that what this is as well?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah?
yeah.
No,
Dude,
very
that's
cool. That's so unique. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what you'll see in my upcoming concert in February for our
February
13th.
13th?
13th, yep.
Sweet, yeah.
Two Halves of a Heart concert. So
what time is it at?
That is at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. It's on your Instagram Live?
It'll be mainly on my YouTube. That'll be
Okay.
the main source. I don't want to necessarily make a promise I can't keep. We're almost positive we can do it on Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
I got to double check on that, but I know it will be on the Merrick Henry YouTube channel at 7 p.m.
When you figure
13th
out how to do all of them at one time, you let us know, because we've been trying to figure that
we
shit
can share
out
the resources,
too.
for sure.
Because we don't know how to dive. We got to figure out how to Instagram, YouTube, Twitch it all at one time.
We've been able to do it so far with the YDD show through OBS.
I was
YouTube
about to
and
say,
Facebook.
OBS.
That's
we've
one
done
thing
that.
I'm aware of, yeah.
And that's just from OBS updating all their stuff. So I would
Right.
definitely recommend that. But yeah, just when I went to the con and performed live in that moment, that was really also the first time that I'd taken all of my digital stuff that you're seeing here. This was the first time I really took it on the road with the dancers, with all of my costume changes and everything. But I know no one else is doing that, and I know I'm on the right path to at least showcasing what I am as an individual artist, which is really just the same thing that was being done 20, 30 years ago. But because no one's doing it now,
It's all of a sudden new. Yeah.
it's all of a sudden new.
Well,
I'm just doing what NSYNC was doing by one, you know?
Yeah.
To me times 5, but also I'm just one guy.
No, right. But to your point, it's like utilizing modern technology to be able to make like a proper illusion of back in the day, you know?
I was going to say,
modernized.
you took up the modern technology and like took something that is now not even out of style, just something that people don't even do, and you just made it like a unique version of it's a modernized version of what it used to be, so to speak.
Yeah, and I would also say too, a lot of that comes from a lot of artists don't necessarily have artist development. A lot of artists are really doing their own thing, and it's not, most of the time it's not because they don't want to work with other people, it's just a lot of bigger representatives and companies, they're looking for artists who have the following right then and there. They're not looking for this undiscovered talent. They want to know that the followers are going to come with them to the shows. They want to know that they're going to pay for the merch, pay for the streams and everything. So a lot of that comes down to a lack of development in artists. Quite frankly, not a lot of people want to become pop stars. They just become pop stars.
Yeah.
You know, Ariana Grande, well, yes, she did start in theater on Broadway in the 13 musical. She's a remarkable vocalist, but I'm almost positive that dance really isn't 100% a love of her. She can certainly do.
It's a byproduct of her career.
Exactly. For the longest time growing up, I had thought that a lot of people were looking to become those kinds of pop stars, and then it dawned on me, wow, nearly everyone doesn't want that. Whether it's they don't want the attention that comes with it, they don't want all the headaches, the financial stuff that comes with it, which is valid. Michael, Justin Timberlake, these rare breeds of people that came from these almost artistic schools, Motown, the Mickey Mouse Club of the 90s, and I can't think of anybody else, but those two in particular, those like schools of being around all these like really talented individuals to cater and craft this talent. You don't really have that necessarily anymore when it comes to bigger artists. So it's really important that you try to find those collaborators in your local vicinity where you can all kind of nurture each other and encourage each other, and then maybe have honest conversations if you don't believe that something's going to work, or maybe they don't believe that something's going to work for you.
Right.
And it's harder to do that, especially when we all have so much access to technology where we can do it ourselves.
100%.
But it's also just as easy to do when we have open communication with nearly everyone on the planet at any given moment.
Right.
From my personal perspective, I started the podcast by myself, and I did the first 8 or 9, maybe 10 by myself.
I have no idea.
And then I think you came along like 12 or 13, I think. And Frank was like, "Yo, like, can I don't even know how to have it. Did you come on and be like, yo, can I help?"
No, I think so. We had a little bit of a falling out, just some
me and Frank
high
weren't
school
friends for a little
drama.
bit, yeah.
And then when we
I'm sorry to
linked
hear
back
that.
up,
come on.
who cares?
Well, I mean, we're here
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
so I
yeah.
guess
It's
it's
making
okay.
it, you know. It's our superhero story.
It
you know?
is. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, no, you just asked me. You're like, hey man, you want to try it? And then the next podcast you had, I just sat in and had laptops around me and was just helping out. You know?
But the point of me bringing that in is 2 things. One, like you said, having a second person just to communicate with and just like address ideas. Like, I say stupid shit all the time. Like, yo, should we do this? And then like kind of like, that's stupid. Or Frank will say something that's great and be like, we have to do that. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. The other part of what I wanted to talk about was that kind of seems what you guys got going on, like Young Coffee and Zen Studios and stuff like that, is like, even though Fitchburg isn't really known for having, you know, like some crazy art scene, it seems like lately we've been developing this like weird, huge art scene of people where it's like you guys have this big group where you guys have rappers, comedians, yourself, podcasters, stuff
We're
like
all
that.
starting to finally talk to one another
Right.
to say, oh wait, you're doing this thing and it's literally down the street
Yeah.
from me.
Literally.
We're starting to realize that we have this
Right.
arts community of
Yeah.
not just hip hop and rap artists, but also pop artists, but also folk artists, comedians, you know, entertaining personalities that can make any piece of content at any given moment, like
Right.
the Polluted Thoughts podcast, wherever you find your podcast. You know, like we're all actually starting to talk with one another, and I think that's really great for this city because we can be an arts and culture
Right.
hub. We just need to continue having those conversations with those powers that be that have the power to bring in influence and or financial opportunity
Right.
for those in the city. And that is admittedly something that we still need to work on from top. We're down here and we're all starting to connect with one another. We now just need to do our best to continue that conversation
Right.
up the stairs.
No, 100%. And it is so interesting how social media can, or just like technology in general, can be something that brings people together like it is now, like in a certain sense. You guys can text each other, whatever. But then in other ways, like you said, it can be isolating where you feel like, oh my God, I have all the access to everything on the planet. I can just do it all myself. Why can't I do it all myself? You know? And even sometimes it's just a lot to think about. And you don't realize that you need those other people.
There's validity to both
Right.
viewpoints. When at the start of the pandemic, funny enough, when Zenden Studios was around, my partner at the time, Barney Landman, he wasn't sure how he was going to keep the studio open. And I'd been working with him for close to a decade at this point. And he had said, hey, do you have any ways of how we can save the studio here? Like, do you want to come on like more in with the studio? And I thought about it, knowing that Chuck E. Cheese was going to go under. Again, kind of one of those perfect timing moments. I decided to buy out the rest of his contract to keep the studio open. And that was
Wow.
ultimately how I became his business partner. I had become the CEO of the Zenden Studios at the time. And because I had him as a partner for that point where I really needed someone in my life, we were able to bounce off each other. A lot of what I've been able to do at this point with my concert and other live things that I've done is because I had that one-on-one partner time with him for a year and a half, 2 years, after already working each other for close to a decade.
Right.
And just being able to bounce off and try different ideas, try to push the technological barrier of what we could do. And now he's at a point where after the Zenden Studios is closed down, now that Young Coffee has taken over the production space 100%, Barney's now in a position where he's actually going to be taking up a job at Sweetwater. out
That's
in
cool. Yeah,
in
very
Indiana.
cool,
Yeah, which is really exciting for
That's
him.
where I got my my microphone from.
That's where we get all of our
Yeah.
stuff, you know. And then really delicious Sweetwater candy at the end. I always love that part, especially my $2,000 lighting rig that I had for our big festival back in 21 came with Laffy Taffy, and it made me so happy.
That's
one
customer
piece.
satisfaction.
I got two.
For each $1,000.
Yeah, pretty much.
Piece of taffy.
For every $1,000 you spend, you get a banana and a strawberry.
Hey, it's
It's cute.
exclusive, man.
So, by having that partner with me, being able to bounce ideas off each other, now I'm at a point where I feel experienced enough to really start to try these things on my own, while still working with my partners, YDD and Show at Young Coffee Productions. We're still all working in close collaboration. Everything we do, I have enough experience to know for myself as an artist what works and what doesn't. And I didn't necessarily know that before. I can kind of have more adult conversations with my art in the same way that those two have with their art all the time.
Well, to build off that, the adult conversation part, how much of your creative process is artistically driven and how much of it is business driven, where you're trying to attract new people to look at you and kind of work with the algorithm or something, you know?
Funny enough, I consider myself more of a producer's artist rather than an artist. Obviously, you know, you want to be able to bring something enjoyable to the table anytime your audience is looking at what you're doing. And it's not so much that for a producer I'm looking at like the numbers, because quite frankly the numbers can change on any given
100%.
day. That's a headache waiting to happen. But I try to figure out what is realistically possible in front of me based on the resources that I have. So in terms of the business, it's what do I have in the moment? What can I make? What something can I make out of nothing in this moment with all the tools that I have, rather than try to create a big concept for whether it's a video or a script that I'm writing or whatever,
100%.
and start big and then have to pull it back.
100%.
That's exhausting to me. That feels like a waste of time.
It's like a good chance that you'll I was reading something like an article the other day, and they were talking about how if you set unrealistic goals all the time and you don't make them because they're unrealistic, you're just going to be beating yourself up, you know? Whereas if you set smaller steps and you accomplish them and you crush them, it'll actually make you feel way more confident, and your growth will go exponentially.
And
working on that right behind you. Weekly goals and monthly goals and yearly goals, you know. You
That's
gotta work
nice.
your way up.
Absolutely. No, it's good. I like the last one at the end. Get out of bed, motherfucker. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, those
Good
are my
life advice,
Those
too.
are my daily tasks. They're pretty simple.
Do that one
make your
daily.
bed, read, and brush your fucking teeth, bro. That's pretty much it. That's what it should have said. Brush your fucking teeth, read, and get the fuck out of bed, dog.
Hey man, we all need to hear that sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. When I look at it, it's brutal when you're laying in bed and you see yourself writing something that says "Get out of bed, motherfucker," and you're laying in bed thinking, I gotta do that. Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I used to do a funny thing with my vape back in the day. Obviously, it didn't work. It was to help me quit vaping, but I would put it, like, I would draw a circle on the piece of paper, and I would be like, "Don't hit this. It's not good for you, you stupid son of a bitch," or something like that. And I'd put it in the middle. It just makes it so, like, whenever you go to grab it, you gotta think about that consciously. You know what I mean?
Every time I hit it, right
I'm
there,
saying
monthly,
this.
quick nicotine, right there. It's on the monthly one, and we're fucking. What was it? January 27th.
Yeah, it should be a daily one. You know, it should be both.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyways,
Anyway, get out of my vices, man. Get out of here. Get out of my brain.
I got enough polluted thoughts as is.
Yeah, seriously, man. That's where it all came from, man. It was, like yourself, during quarantine, I was pretty much just being very bummish. I didn't do anything. I had COVID right when COVID started. Like, the first week it happened, school got canceled and all that. So then I was in my house, just in my bedroom for like a week straight.
Out of curiosity, what year were you when COVID?
I was just graduated high school. I was a freshman in college. So my second semester.
God, everything that you've been building up towards for 18 years just down the crapper.
Yeah, seriously.
I can't even imagine. I would have dropped out.
Let me ask you, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27, okay. So you
But I look
graduated-
16 when I shave.
You do, yeah, you do. And
Yeah,
it's a good thing. I like it looking young, because
It's
the
great for
older
casting.
you get, that as well, and it feels good when you look young, and you know what I mean. Like when people get old and they look old, that's like my worst nightmare. You know what I mean? Like being just like old and wrinkly.
Yeah.
And, oh man, it's like it's up there with like top 3 fears. But
Unfortunately, it's going to happen. Not to burst the bubble, but
yeah, I
we
know,
will get there.
it will happen. But I want to prolong it as long as possible. According to Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard, like anti-aging is now like proven. Like you can live
Well,
up
they
to like
treat it like a
150
disease,
to like
yeah.
200 years old.
No, they do. It sounds
They do.
weird.
Yeah, they
but
do. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the amount of stem cells and weird shit. It's
Exactly.
like, I don't know, like there's fighters now. Like Mike Tyson's a great example of a man who got out of boxing. His body was beat to shit. Got on stem cells and started doing cryogenics, and all of a sudden is at the same point as when he stopped at 30.
That's surprising.
You know. So I don't know. It's kind of a tangent.
Yeah, no. It's good information.
Spitting facts. I love it.
Back to what you were saying is most young people got fucked up. I'm sure. Like I'm sure that there's a lot of mental problems due to that. What had
And
what
for
had
many,
happened.
we're still not really going to experience that for at least another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
we're
no.
still figuring out what happened.
Yeah.
Right?
And what the fuck is going
100%,
on, you
man.
know?
It's still to this day, like, it's just unanswered questions.
Seriously, and like yourself, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like this is a perfect opportunity to do something because I'm not doing anything. I don't have anything on my plate right now. I've now spent the past 2-3 weeks in my bedroom not doing literally nothing. Like watching Joe Rogan podcasts on fucking Pete. And then I was just high one day and I was like, I have a lot of polluted fucking thoughts, man. Like these are some fucked up thoughts. And then I was like, this guy's been spitting his shit. I was like, we should just spit our shit. And I was also thinking the big part of it was like, it was kind of selfish because I was pretty high. And I was like, I don't get the fucking recognition that I need. Like, people aren't seeing me for who I am.
Right, give yourself them flowers.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And as egotistical as it sounds, exactly. I was like, what the fuck? I'm out here. I'm fucking doing my thing. I'm a cool dude. People don't fuck with me. I was like, nah, they need to see, like, who I am. And then I thought about it, and, like, my mind blew the fuck up. And I was like, they need to see who the fuck everyone is. You need to see people for, like, what they are.
Well, going with that idea of, like, you connecting with the people in the area and realizing that
that's exactly what it was.
It's this movement that's going on. And we were like, holy shit, there's a movement going on. You know what I mean? And we wanted to be able to have a platform where we could talk to these interesting people before they got out of our reach. You know what I mean?
Point of me bringing the story all the way
Well,
back
good news is
to
I'm
the
still
beginning.
here, so.
Exactly.
Point of me bringing it all the way back to the beginning was, like you're saying now, there are points in time where things need to just get done by yourself. Like, you know, me and Frank were in a quarrel over a microphone, over an audio interface. I had his audio, I had that, not that one, but that exact brand, exact model of his audio interface, and he let me borrow it. Then he moved to California, and then he came back, and he came to my house to pick it up, and I wasn't there or something like that, and he was like dummy tight at me. Anyways,
this
our
is
quarrel...
not the story.
Not a one-sided story at all.
That was a walk around of the story. The point of me saying it was we were in quarrel, so me and Frank aren't talking. I get 2 other people to try to do this podcast with me. We start getting along into it. I schedule everything. I get everything ready. I'm like, we're all going to do this Skype thing. We're all in different locations. We'll all just talk over this. And I show up, and nobody shows up.
Really, to the Zoom call?
Nobody shows up to the Zoom call.
No, a Skype call. This is
Skype
before
call.
Zoom.
No, it was Zoom. It was Zoom.
Oh, okay.
No, you're definitely right. It was like when
Credibility
Zoom
in there.
just got like, you know what I mean? Because they blew up in like March.
Immediately destroyed Skype. It's just
Exactly, yeah. So nobody shows up to Zoom. I'm sitting there, and nobody's there, and I'm texting everybody that's supposed to be there. And there's like 3 other people, and none of them are there. Nobody's responding. And then I just took the second. I was like, fuck, like this isn't gonna work. And then like a couple months went by, and then like you kind of are you're where you are at now. I was like, I kind of need to just do it myself. I need to just fucking do it. And then Franco came along. So I think that there's points in life where things just need to get fucking done. You know, you just gotta fucking do this for myself, and I just need to get it done. But
you don't know it's going to happen until it hits you right in the face.
Right.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's too late. You know, you can't prepare at that point.
No,
you know?
of course not.
Right, so...
But it looks like with your story, there's a lot of timing coming along. When Chuck E. Cheese was dying out, so COVID was coming up, and Zenden Studios, you were purchasing that. It all was like a timing thing. I think that with a lot of this artistic stuff, it's all a timing and people. So you need to know when, where, and who.
When to buy, when to sell.
Amen.
Pretty
Amen,
much what
man.
it comes down to.
Yeah.
You know, we all, as a planet, had the opportunity to partake in the reset. What you do with that is entirely up to you, and there is no right or wrong answer of how you spent your time in quarantine. If you genuinely needed to take yourself aside from everything that's going on planet Earth outside of our doorstep, as we're all actually looking at social media together in this moment. Certainly the George Floyd protests, and you know, the multiple shootings that have you know, just gone on a daily basis for however long, you know, just all partaking in this information in real time all together, where we're all just sitting alone in our homes.
Yeah, right. We're going through it together, but separate.
We're all processing all this stuff differently. So if you need to, and truthfully, I kind of went through multiple cycles in quarantine where I was ready and gung ho to be working, and then I kind of hit a mental crash really hard.
Me too. Yeah.
After working on material and putting content out, because I finally had the opportunity to stop for a moment.
Right.
And it kind of hit me really hard, and I kind of had made some dance content out of that pain to a degree. So it's all about timing. How you take in this reset is entirely up to you, and I really don't think we should ever judge anyone for how they responded. If you spent 2 years inside, great, you got yourself hopefully together and collected, and you feel more ready to go back out there in the real world if you so choose, or you found better ways of handling the previous social anxiety that you might have had before. You know, there's all different kinds of ways of how we approach that. I chose to pursue my craft and not bow down to anyone else's wills or wishes again, because I'd also just moved home maybe a month before the COVID hit Massachusetts. I was in an apartment out in Leominster, and I moved back in with my parents because I really didn't want to have to deal with needing a job in order to pay for my living.
Right, especially with so much uncertainty coming out, you know?
Not that I'm not trying to bring in money, you know, to help my family with things, but not having to pay Unitil, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was however you take that however you took that opportunity when it came about is up to you. But also, there's still plenty of opportunity to course correct anytime you want to.
Right.
With social media, you could post a whole bunch of stuff. You can always take it away afterwards. You know, unless you're someone like The Weeknd or something, where like once it's out there, people are going to save it forever.
Right.
That's that level. But if you're still building and establishing yourself,
you can reset at any point in time.
Absolutely, you can always course correct.
Archive it if you like it later. Throw it back up.
Exactly. I say archive everything just because you can, but
I agree. Unless it's an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, definitely.
Then it's a deleted post.
Pop that shit off as quick as you can. Personal experience, but it's never too late to try new things. There are many people who go through multiple different careers, you know, depending on the decade, depending on their age, whatever. You can change around your life at any given moment. Obviously, it's easier said than done.
No, of course.
But it's possible.
It is. I think when you said earlier that we shouldn't judge anyone for what their outcome was, so to speak, of these past, 2-3 years, I think that the only thing that could really get judged on is, like, have you done self-reflecting? Like, this is, like, a point in time where we have nothing. Like, have you looked into yourself and, like...
Have you had a conversation with yourself?
Have you, are you happy with yourself? If not, what is making you unhappy? How do you deal with that? Me, recently, I've, like, really been... a book. Everyone needs to fucking read this.
You read a book. Great.
Congratulations. I've been reading.
Cheers.
I've been reading, and I'm like the type of kid who reads like half the book and then like tells the summer reading people I read the whole book, and then when they ask me what happens at the end, I don't know what happened, and I'm embarrassed in front of the class. This is before Spark Notes. This is by the time Spark Notes came around, man, I was easy sailing from there. It's high school. But anyways.
Life-changing.
Yeah. But no, I read this book. It's called The Mastery of Love. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. He's like a self-help kind of book writer based on this like knowledge of these people who like are Amazonian people, and they're called Toltec people, and they live this whatever life, He talks a lot about like living in love and living in fear. And I think that, like, with that self-reflection and stuff, it's like, what do you love? Like, is it worth what you're wasting your mental and physical health on? Another thing that I really want to touch on was fucking physical well-being. Like, nobody fucking, like, if you came out of this thing and weren't like, I need to be healthier, whether you're doing it or not, at least if you fucking thought, like, I need to be healthier coming out of this thing, if you didn't think that, that's the only way that I would judge you for that.
Well, I even just noticed how being active, meaning just even just like socially being active, just like in your life and going through life like it's normal, I realize how big of an effect that has on your mental health.
Yeah, well, when I say
like having
physical,
a chance to, or when you're like dragged away from your typical routine and you're like ostracized from the rest of society for a couple months, it's like yeah, you can have those conversations with yourself, but I know a lot of people who just can't. They struggle with like positive self-talk.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So
I'm mean. I'm very. My girlfriend tells me I'm insensitive.
Oh, I get told that all the time.
Yeah.
About
that's
him?
About me, it's a problem.
No, yeah. Your girlfriend's telling you I'm insensitive. Oh man, that'd be brutal.
I know your friend.
Yeah. I know he's the host and everything, but he's insensitive. He doesn't care. Well, I know that people have a hard time, but like just walking, man. Like get outside the house. Like literally walk to the end of the street and back. Like eat something instead of that. You know what I mean? Like I have a fucking Reese's Big Cup addiction. I eat Reese's Big Cups like nobody's fucking business, man. Like I'm talking like I averaged like 2-3 a day. Like packages, not cups, packages. Like I'm serious. And it just took some fucking mental like looking. You just gotta be like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? Let me eat an apple instead. Let me fucking eat some yogurt or something, I'm not trying to fucking die of a clogged artery or whatever, you know what I mean?
But you're going to be tasting that chocolate peanut butter on the way out, though.
Oh, man. It's so good. It's so good. Don't talk about it. But the point of the story is that I think...
Sorry, I'm a bad influence.
No. You're... Don't even get me started on those Reese's.
It's a trigger for him.
It is. I'm like, I gotta go to like AA for like peanut butter and chocolate.
I bet you that's a thing, man.
Bro.
I bet you that's
bad,
a thing.
dude. It's real bad. I honestly bet it is like a sex addict's like Reese's and
sitting next to a guy who can't get out of his Easter Bunny costume because he also has an addiction. Yeah.
I'd be like I'm like the only skinny kid in the room.
Hey man, I when I was a kid, I dressed up. When I was a kid, this was like 5 years ago. But there was like the book fair, the local book fair needed someone to dress up as Clifford. Clifford, yeah. So I dressed up as Clifford and I hugged a bunch of kids and I was wicked tall, so everyone was like
perfect.
And then afterward, there was like the Clifford that was supposed to be there beforehand, and it was like some 30-year-old man. He's sitting there with the Clifford head in his hand, and he goes.
It's like Wilford.
While you're walking out now, he goes, do you feel it?
Oh, God.
Do you feel that rush?
When you both wear the same outfit to the same social gathering?
No. He's not
even... takes it off his head.
He's talking to you about the addiction. He's just talking to you about the addiction of putting on the costume. Do you feel the rush?
See, but like
you'll never get that again until you put the mask on.
It's funny you say that though. Like I personally just liked interacting with the kids and seeing them like shit their pants. They're like, holy, like, because when you're a kid, like the fact that you see Santa Claus at the mall, you see something, and you don't think that it's fake. You know what I mean? Like it's like this.
I have the perfect story for what you're talking about right now. Holy shit! I just remembered it. It is so good, bro. Like what you're saying, the idea of like being in a costume with children is like immense, right? My little brother had a big foot. It really is. I know what you're talking about because I've like dressed up as like not like anything crazy, but just like for my brothers and my sisters like birthday parties. My grandma's party planner kind of lady. She ran a camp, so that's like her shit. And it was a Bigfoot birthday party theme, and they're doing this whole not treasure hunt, but like Bigfoot hunt, and there's clues and games along the ways throughout the yard. And I live in like my parents live in a roundabout. So she dressed me up in a Bigfoot costume, and it was the most uncomfortable piece of fabric. Like it was like what Jesus wore, like was like the inside. You know what I mean?
That woolen material,
that fucking like hemp material shit. That was like the inside, and the outside was like I don't know, Indian pubic hair. I don't know what it was. It was like just like nappy. I'm joking. It was just nappy ass like gross hair, and it was my sweat was on it too. So, like, it wasn't bad prior to me, like, sweating on it and such. She tells me to go down to the end of the cul-de-sac, get up in the tree, and she's like, I'm going to lead the kids over to you, and then you're going to jump out of the tree and scare them and pretend to be Bigfoot.
Dear God, this sounds horrible.
Right? And I was like, I don't know, like, I'm like along the, like, like you said, seizing the opportunity earlier with like the dance thing.
Quite the opportunity.
I'm very bad at like being like, all right, I'll just I'm very like I don't know, like I'm very indecisive. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. So I go down to the end, And I'm up there for fucking like 15 minutes. I'm not kidding. I had to climb this. I scaled this tree with this whole costume, Bigfoot feet on over my shoes, everything.
Smoke if you got them.
Yeah. and I'm up there, and I can hear them coming down, like, you know, and they're all gonna do a Bigfoot call. My grandma's like really good with children. It's pretty impressive. Like, she'll get them to do like anything, and like she gets them to do like a like some like the SpongeBob.
I was just literally
yeah.
Little.
It was pretty much that, but it was like, you know, her version of it. And when she did she was like, when I give you the call on the second time, jump out of the tree and scare them. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. Second call comes, and I like jump out of the tree from like not being able to be visible and start like running after these children. And the fucking terror on their faces.
Bro, why you get so
They turned around and started all running. My little sister was frozen, bro. She was like, we were like petrified her like a fucking Harry Potter spell. She was stuck there like shaking, and like I run over.
I would too.
That does sound awful.
That is horrifying.
Traumatizing.
And I run over and like I pick her up, still in the costume.
Oh god.
And I put her like over my shoulder. Then I put her down. I took off the thing. I was like, "It's me. I'm joking. And she was crying for like 20 minutes.
I would too.
Yeah, it was pretty
That would
brutal.
speak for months.
Yeah. Oh my god. That was funny because you were talking about the enjoyment of like the children with the Clifford thing. Like immediately clicked with me. Was like
his was out of love. Yours is out of fear. This is Superman, Batman we're talking about here. Two totally different things.
Hey man.
Oh my god, dude, it was so funny, and the terror on their faces. Whew. And I didn't even want to do it too. That was like the worst part. Like, I don't like scaring children. I mean, it's not like an enjoyable.
Not how you told the story.
Yeah,
Right,
maybe
no.
not, dude. It wasn't enjoyable, but it was funny.
It was an
Very
experience.
funny. It was an experience. It was a hell of an experience. Holy shit! And like I had to leave for work like right away too, so I had to like strip down on his costume and like bounce. It was wild.
You probably found hair on your
Oh,
outfit.
there was. Yeah, there was, most definitely. Mm-hmm. I found some like later on in my shoes, like days later I hadn't worn the shoes, and there was like a clump of like Bigfoot hair inside the sole.
A memento. I'll put that in a baggie for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what as shitty as it sounds, that's what Princess Diana's sister did, and gave it to the kids after she died. She cut a clump of hair for Prince Harry and William.
Fun fact.
You're
Fun
one step
fact.
away from royalty. That's great.
I'm reading the book. It's right there.
Really?
Yeah, spare. See, I read books plural, not just one. It's the S.
That
with
one
the,
time
with
I
the
chose to
parenthesis,
finish
like the
a book.
parenthesis, and then the S in between next to the book. That's
May or
what.
may not
Yeah,
be
it may or may
S.
not be multiple books, but
You don't need to know.
yeah, but the public doesn't need to know. No, I think reading is good. I when no, as half Momo-ish that came out. I think that
Very
reading
PBS ad of you.
It is. Reading is good. You should read. No, I think that it enhances like my vocabulary when I'm actually like reading like that day. If I've read, I feel that I can use words that I don't feel that I could normally use. And then secondly, it's just the information that's within the book is
Nice.
always
You're
really
making a
helpful.
nice reading rainbow.
Yeah, honestly, people
Well,
should read, bro. It's good. It's a little healthy. It's better than staring at the phone too. I get my eyes start to hurt. You know, the whole 9 yards. Blue, you got UV blue.
So reading is painful.
Yeah, no.
Don't do
The reading's good. Staring at the screen hurts my eyes. You got UV blue on those glasses?
No,
No.
I'm just not reading as much. So
Yeah. Well, no.
I'm upfront about
the
it.
screens. Do the screens hurt your eyes?
No, not really, because I'm mostly good about keeping my brightness down.
Yeah.
Low dark mode has changed my life.
Shown
Yeah,
it.
Changed
dark
everything.
mode.
Dark mode is a life necessity. I don't even think light mode should be a thing. Keep it dark.
Yeah, I only do dark for like every app that gives me the
Literally
always
every
dark.
option.
I don't like that light shit. No. I don't like the lowercase letters either. I like capital letters. It's something that Tyler the Creator said one time. He's like no lowercase.
Oh yeah, that
We all
definitely sounds like Tyler.
I
Yeah. Okay.
don't want that lowercase shit. All caps. That was when he said you ever put a mayonnaise on a hot dog.
Oh, I do
That- you
remember
remember
that.
that one? And he's
Murder
like-
Squad was such a classic.
He's
back
like
in the
staring
day.
at the camera. He's like there in Sway. He's doing a freestyle with Sway. He's like staring at the camera, just like mean mugging it. And Sway's like, "Don't be afraid to hit the camera if it's pissing you off, man." All right, I'm trailing off.
It's good life advice.
Man, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. We will do this 100% again.
Sure.
We'll give it a little bit of time elapse so we can have a little bit more to discuss and such.
Yeah.
Whenever we're able to come to you guys' set and studio and just check out, come on the pod and chat with you guys, we would fucking love
That'd be cool to do.
We
We
would,
would
like,
love to just like do anything to help out.
Crossover.
Yeah, I would say we want that collab, that like that one time when Disney did like the Zack and Cody, Hannah Montana, and there was a third one, and Wizards of Waverly Place. They were all on the boat.
That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana, and
Amen.
The Wizards on
Yeah,
Deck
yeah.
with Hannah Montana.
yeah, exactly.
I know my crossovers.
Yeah. Well, again, one more.
Absolutely, bro.
Man, pleasure. Everybody, go check him out. What's your give him your handles for
So
everything.
my handles for everything. So my name is Merrick Henry. My handles, switch the H and the M. You get at Herrick Henry. You're gonna find me on Instagram. You're gonna find me on Twitter. You're gonna find me on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok as well. The difference with my TikTok is I've actually chosen to kind of with my social media kind of go into like a multiple streaming service kind of a thing.
Okay.
So all of my music content are on those three things that I mentioned. But with my TikTok, that's a lot of my comic book superhero conversation.
Oh, okay.
So just to diversify a little
Yeah,
bit,
let's
because I'm
get into
not just
that
one
next time.
person.
Let's
You know,
look at that next
we've
time.
got so much
Yeah.
to talk about. But yeah, so if you want to hear my thoughts on all things Marvel, DC, Power Rangers, my TikTok at Herrick Henry. If you want to stay up to date on all things music, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube at Herrick Henry, and of course, lastly, with my YouTube, February 13th, Monday,
Yes, sir.
7 p.m. Two Halves of a Heart, the live stream concert. Is coming to you. If you love, if you want to celebrate with your partner and just have a great romantic evening with me, tune in at 7. Or if you hate love because that person wronged you, you think there's no one left for you in this world, and you think hearts and candy is a bunch of garbage, this show is also for you.
Hell yeah.
Monday, February 17th, 7 p.m. Merrick Henry YouTube.
You heard it there, Cretans. We'll smell y'all later. Keep on polluting them thoughts.
Stay stanky, fam.
Yes, sir.